Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're talking today to Darius Meibodi, who is a medical doctor and multidimensional healer at dariusmeibodi.net. We're talking about ascension paths, black magic, and disease. Today's podcast comes from my YouTube show, Ascension and 5D Chats, where I speak to other intuitives about ascension. Welcome to 5D Channels and Chats with Rachel Chamness. As a shamanic channel and mentor, I'll be sharing wisdom and healing from higher dimensions through channeling beings of light. You will also hear liquid Reiki shamanic sound healing, channels between intuitives, and discussion on higher dimensional healing and channeling. You'll find links and more in the show notes, so be sure to check them. You can find me at soundwavesheal.com and my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Hi, thanks so much for coming. Well, where should we start? Ascension?
Let's start with Ascension.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's the program, right? Okay, so maybe I can tell you a little bit about my work, because towards Ascension, there's so many different pathways to do that. I have one I like very much. It's very powerful, but also I honor that there are other pathways, and also I love to learn from others who do that, right? Maybe I can explain a little bit from my perspective why we're incarnated here in 3D. So we're actually a particle of the divine, somewhere in the highest dimension, and we come down in this dimension in the third dimension where we have polarity, disease versus health, abundance versus scarcity, and so on. And this polarity experiences can help us to have experiences we couldn't have in the higher dimensions. Right, so it's really a great school, and the purpose of us as particles of the divine, what our soul actually is, to come here to have experiences, and through the experience in 3D, we can expand our consciousness. And when we ascend and reconnect with the divine, we share our experiences with the divine, and in this way, we help the divine to expand consciousness. So we're doing a great service here, right?
And I love how you say that.
Thank you very much. It's important for us as well to come here. Obviously it's very challenging but very rewarding through the extremes that we can have here. But as we come here to the third dimension, it's important that we really focus on 3D. So if I'm able to see the high dimensions, let's say I break my arm, and in this way I can learn about expressing gratitude to the people that help me, or to experience pain. If I would be able to see the high dimensions, with all the bliss of the divine, etc., I wouldn't really participate fully in the experience that 3D provides me, because I wouldn't care if I'm even have any restrictions here in this existence, because I know it's just an illusion. So because of that, we agreed on a collective level to have like all these barriers between 3D and the high dimensions, right? Part of that is, for example, a lot of people have an agreement that this reality is the only one that exists, or God is outside myself, and so on. Also, another thing is, for example, abilities like clairvoyance, clairaudience, telepathy. So most of perception or expression for the high dimensions, what we have, we agreed to close them down so that then we can really focus on 3D, right? So on our journey from the high dimensions to 3D, we block these things. Also we choose to have specific soul agreements, like God is outside myself. And if you look at traditional Chinese medicine with the meridian lines, which are, you can say, these are pathways of the high dimensional light that connect our body to the higher dimensions entering us, we really make them as minimal as possible, that we barely survive. And so in this way, no matter what people come to me, I'm a medical doctor, you mentioned that already. So it just, a lot of people come to me with medical issues, but also people come with black magic or anything like this. But ultimately, I help people to move from 3D to 5D and beyond if they want to do that. And so you can see, in order to go there, we have to reverse this process, right? So that is breaking the agreements that keep us here locked in 3D, strengthen the pathways for the high dimensional light, making the meridian lines bigger and repairing them. For example, surgery can sever the meridian lines, right? And also activate the Merkaba, and so on. So there's a very structured process to go there. Or also take the obstacles away that prevent us from being multidimensional aware. So anything that blocks us from being clairvoyant, clairaudient, right? So I take these structures away. This is the way I perceive that. And so this is my journey. And depending what people come also, so there's a very structured process, which is pretty much identical for most people, but also it's a very individual journey at the same time that I accompany people with. So if people have, for example, a disease, there are specific things that need to be addressed, or that can be addressed, at least from my perspective, in order to help people to go to higher levels, right? So if you see, for example, that the ability to heal ourselves lies within ourselves, a lot of people probably in the spiritual community would agree with that. Then we can say if someone is not perfectly healthy, we either we are disconnected from the ability to heal ourselves, or we refuse to heal ourselves, right? In order to
Right.
have a specific 3D experience. So we have to reverse these contracts and replace them with the opposite. Like I'm fully connected to my ability to heal myself, and now I choose to heal myself immediately and completely, and with grace and ease, so we want to have it as graceful as possible. And if a disease happens, we can often see that on different levels. If cancer, for example, from a 3D level, we can see on a physical level, there are gene abnormalities. We can go to the emotional level. We can say there are stored sadness or anger, which causes the disease. Or we can go to the mental level. I'm unworthy to be alive. I don't deserve to be alive and healthy. Or we can go to high levels, that can be imprints from past lives. So in my work, I aim to address any kind of medical issue from as many different angles as possible. So I use my medical knowledge as well and other dimensional knowledge in order to hopefully have the best outcome, right?
That's great. That's great. I totally vibe with all of what you're saying. And that is how I see it too. Being a part of the light, coming down, all the soul contracts, vows, and agreements, things like that is part of the work I do too. So I love that. I really like the way you say it though.
Oh, thank you.
And I love that you have the medical background. I love what you're talking about with meridians. It's so true. And I like how you bring that into your work. That's great. So when it comes to removing blocks, sometimes I think that's such an important thing that people don't understand is why I'm doing all this work. Why isn't it working? Well, sometimes it's because you have this block or this agreement that you made or this past life that's really bleeding into this life that has to be cleared. So that's so important. I'm glad you talked about that.
Yeah, and often I find, if I have something coming up within my own experience as a soul, I'm attached to the outcome often. So it is can be very helpful to have someone who is neutral, who's not attached to the outcome, in order to have
Right.
really a neutral perspective, right?
Yeah, that's
So
so important. I know that everyone wants to heal themselves with their own modality, but I feel like we heal ourselves with the help of a light worker, that we really need each other. Light workers need to work on each other, with each other, together. I mean, that's part of Ascension in itself.
yeah, absolutely. We can say as well, in one way, we're very powerful as particles of the divine, which our soul is. We carry particles of we carry qualities of the divine in us. We co-creators together with the divine, but also we're very helpless at the same time. Without Mother Earth, like no air, no warmth, no food, we would be dead probably in a couple of seconds or minutes latest, right? So I think to honor basically the mastery as well as the vulnerability in us, it is very important, and that goes also for healing. If I can do it myself, great. But if not, I'm open to receive help from others. Right? It's often,
Right.
I think you may have a similar experience within yourself or with your clients. Often, someone who's a spiritual healer or in any kind of healing profession, whether the nurse, we think I have to give and give and give, and no,
Yeah.
if I ask for help myself, this is a sign of weakness.
Yes, I hear that. I'm always surprised by that because self-care is so important. I mean, obviously we have a journey ourselves, which also helps us with the journey of our clients. I mean, I find many times things that I go through, then I see happening with other people, and I have a place to also help from because I have that knowledge of something similar happening to me.
Absolutely. And also, if I acknowledge my own vulnerability, which is also part of my divine experience, I can, no, I won't judge that in other people, if they need help, you know.
Yeah.
It would be really funny, I say, no, I don't allow myself to be vulnerable and I expect perfection from others, heal yourself faster.
I think that we sometimes hold ourselves too high, too high. It's like we think as light workers we have to be perfect, or we can't have any problems because we're helping others with theirs, but that's not how it works at all. Of course, if we didn't have any problems or any work to be done, then why would we still be here?
Well, absolutely, and even like when we're in 5D, evolution continues.
Yeah.
So if we see ourselves on a scale, like maybe as light workers, we're a little bit higher, maybe than someone who's, let's say, completely still in 3D. There are so many more beings above us, much more powerful. So I won't even try to
Well,
feel fully in my mastery.
well, when we are ascended into 5D and the planet is 5D, I feel like that's our opportunity then to help people ascend above that, don't you think? Or how
Oh,
do you see that?
absolutely. Yeah, actually, I think it even starts from the very beginning, and also just even every moment is the perfect moment in case even someone is just waking up.
Yeah.
The person can contribute on their way, even if they haven't fully reached 5D. Not at all. It's the same as you can start working on high dimensions as well without being fully anchored there. At
Mhm.
least trying for that. I'm sure there's something. If there's a will, there's the divine support often.
I think so. And I think also I love to help people with the whole trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing as a light worker is always linked to something that they already love and that they already wish for. Now, anything that you have a desire to do, then exactly there's a way to do it and you're supposed to do it. That's why you have that desire. It's not for nothing.
Absolutely. And I think one thing important as well is to be open to change, right? It's very important because often, I mean, experiences from the past give us identity, right?
Yeah.
But for us to move forward, we have to shed our identity. So
Yes.
I can say I've been working as a doctor for 20 plus years. And at some points, and I was working in parallel as a spiritual healer. And then I got the message louder and louder from spirit that there's no time to focus on one. So basically I had to leave my old identity behind, and this can be challenging, especially for those around us who don't understand it, right? But I think for any kind of healing, it's important that we don't have to understand it, but we're open to the experience and we're willing to change.
We're always changing, we're always growing, and it feels like you think you've figured out your light path, and then you realize it's something different.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the more I see things, from time to time I grow a little bit as well. The more I see how clueless I am ultimately. So higher you go, you see it's even not worth trying to understand everything or anything at all.
And then the shadow work is never complete, unfortunately. You've decided to be a light worker, there's more to do. But we can learn to, have joy and present moment anyway. I mean, I guess that's the whole lesson with that.
Oh, absolutely. Shadow work often has a negative connotation in a way, in a shadows,
Yeah.
darkness, and stuff like that. But it's just part of the experience. Same as poverty is not worse than abundance. Maybe from our 3D perspective, we judge that. But from the high dimensional perspective, at least the way I see that, it is no judgment. There's only experiences, right?
Right. And we
Okay,
signed up for them. We were like excited. Ooh, let's be poor and see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. We choose the experiences we would like to have.
Whenever I talk to these light beings and they show me some of these perspectives from how we decided to come into this life, and we're always so excited about the things we hate, ooh, and this terrible thing's going to happen. Wow, we're going to grow so much from this. It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently because you may have come across it as well. Maybe think that, oh, this is my last human incarnation in 3D. It's really enough. Thank you for that experience, but I don't want anymore. And I was thinking, what is in case, like many of us would say, okay, it was difficult, but to be of service, let's go again to do that.
Well, something must be happening
Uh,
to make us come back, right? We've
Anyway, let me reverse that. I don't want to send it out into the ether.
Well, let's talk about black magic. It's always a fun topic.
Oh, scary. So, let me give you my perspective on that. And as I said, there are many different perspectives how to see that. So one thing is let me give an example which is maybe easier to understand for most people. That in order to learn about power, We can choose in 3D that we abuse our power. That can be something in kindergarten, we push our peers into the dirt, or we give our power away. Actually, we see that on a global level when we elect for some government officials, we actively choose to participate in giving our power away so that someone else makes decision for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is something, through this experience and having both sides of the equation, we learn about the energy of power, specifically if power is not used in the highest and best good. And that helps us when we come to 5D, where we can really manifest in an instant that we, through the experience that we have, when it's not in the best thing, that we can use power with integrity, right? So abuse of power, giving power away is typical for 3D. Black magic, we can see as one description, is that it's actually misuse of power in the 4th dimension, nothing else, right? So of course, if someone has an understanding of the physical laws in 3D, then if I lift a pen, drop, it falls down, right? So if you go to the physical laws or the laws in 4D are very different, and if I don't understand them, it can look like magic, right? So I don't understand that.
Right.
And so we can see that, as I said, from my perspective, or how I address that as well, is black magic or any kind of energetic attack on that level is misuse of power in the 4th dimension, right? And it's common, again, equally, we learn about the use of power, misuse of power in the 4th dimension, and we learn about the energy of power, right? So when people come to me with black magic attacks or whatever, even which is actually quite a big part, then the way to do that is I address that, that we claim our power and use the power with integrity, but also to go help the people through this structured process where I have to bring the consciousness of the people into 5D, release all other or many other limitations what we have, stress, anger, whatever. And once the the consciousness of the person can be in the 5th dimension, and we strengthen the pathways for the light a lot, then we can sever the agreements that we made before, where we either practice black magic or whatever, we subject ourselves to black magic, right? So it's from that point of view, it's very simple, to deal with black magic. And I think it's just the work what I'm doing is not only for the current incarnation of the person, but also we clear the genetic lineages, whether the ancestors or the descendants is for parallel incarnations, alternate incarnations, past incarnations, future incarnations. So it's very encompassing. And as we clear ourselves more and more, the more we start to clear the human collective. And I mean, black magic, if you in the Middle East, in Latin America, Africa, a lot of cultures have black magic. People know about that, or some ginseng and stuff. Especially in North America, probably, and in Europe or Australia, New Zealand, if you talk about black magic, it's humbug. You don't believe in science or something. That's obviously a way also to not encourage people to investigate a little bit. But it's very,
Right.
very common, and we see that if you just go to look at the symbols that are presented within pop music and movies, in politics as well, black magic has been used, or abuse of power in the 4th dimension has been used in order to control humanity for eons of time.
Yes.
Right. And because as it's not for us to undergo the ascension process, whatever, I meditate every single day for a year, then I go to bed one night, and when I wake up, I'm in 5D.
Right.
It's actually a very active process on one level too. All right, so it is whatever. If something appears in my reality, what is my role in manifesting that? What can I do to change that? Right. So if I'm in a society where black magic is used, and probably all of us are, then what can I do if it comes to me, right? What can I do in order to clear the imprint of black magic, in order to also facilitate for the collective to undergo the ascension process, right?
Right.
Okay. So this is something I think it's important also that we know our limitations, right? So deal with that. Can be challenging to work with black magic. So it is actually, you see some funny beings coming around. It's important not to be afraid of them, and to be able to hold the space for the person we're working with, right?
Yes. And
So and I know it's also for some of my peers, it's something they're not interested in really to dealing with that. They have other things, which is perfect, right? There's so much we can pick from, doing planetary activations, clearing other industries out and stuff like this. So it's just one of the many aspects that exist, right?
that's right. And I think that there's so many different things that the listener can do. It's not, doesn't always look like what you're doing or what I'm doing. It could be something totally different that just really lines up with what you're already, I mean, it's going to line up with what you're already good at and what you're already interested in. And it's a fun path always to find out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And when you find out, it's so enlightening and exciting, because I know it changed my life. I used to be an opera singer, and then I became this light worker. So it's a big change for me, and it can be a big change, but also it always makes so much sense. All that singing and all the sound healing I do now, like it all lines up. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I say the medicine of the future is sound
yeah.
and light.
Yes.
Someone else said it. It's not my own
I've heard
own
that a lot.
creation. But so if you're an opera singer, so it just already whatever you cover so much already with that, So it makes perfectly sense
Yeah,
to
I
be
know
an
how to
opera singer,
manipulate
right?
the sound to bring different kinds of light codes. I know how to do all kinds of things. So since I'm a trance medium, then I'm able to bring more light codes, I think, when they talk through me or sing through me, because I have that ability. So it kind of lined up in that way.
Just another day in the office, yeah.
Whatever.
No, I love it. I'm also amazed, what I see I know I do the work like in this incarnation for more than 20 years. And at that time, probably there were like less people actually actively working in this field. But now,
Yeah.
the last 2 or 3 years, I see like so much coming out, and I just love it, And I see these things, whoa, these healing techniques that I had absolutely no clue about that are around, I find it fascinating.
I do too. I love to hear how different people do different things and how often it's all the same thing. Or maybe different levels of it or different ways, or people do extra things, of course, but it's all about ascension and shedding what you don't need. And I just think it's really cool how many different ways there are, and how people are just drawn to the perfect way. I don't know. It just fascinates me.
Yeah, so my voice is not really for singing, at least at this time. So actually, recently I bought like a set of different tuning forks in order to
Ooh, I love
do a
tuning
little bit
forks.
of to play around with that. So
I
just for
love
fun.
tuning forks. I have every set I can get my hands on. I do some tutorials on this YouTube channel. Let's talk about how you help with this, where we're at now with health. And of course, we've gone through a lot of strange and weird health issues on Earth. What's the way to say
Okay, all right. So,
that?
like, yeah, I can see there's what you learn in medical school and what a lot of doctors experience. Suddenly, there are pictures of disease appearing that don't make any sense,
Right.
right? And I think we see that. There's a lot of things like if you see the autism, right? That has been increased when I was in school. You may have heard a word, and now a lot of kids, especially boys, are autistic, and becomes the normal thing, right?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things, and let's say conventional medicine may not necessarily have the greatest interest in challenging the old, or there's certain parts of society or companies who have no interest in really finding the root cause, because chronically ill patients who have to pay for the rest of their life expensive medication make good clients, right?
Right.
So it's not everything aligned. Even though I worked also in pharma industry, there's a lot of very, very good people, absolutely. So I would say the majority of people, especially who work in any kind of life science health fields, have a good intention, right?
Right.
Just to say that up front. And also there's a place for that. It's not that 3D medicine, 3D pharmaceuticals can be very helpful to actually allow someone to come to the place where multidimensional healing can occur.
That's
right?
actually what happened to me. Yes, it's through my health that I came to this path.
Yeah, and I have also some clients, if they wouldn't have immediate medical intervention done, by the time they came to me, they wouldn't be alive anymore, right? So it's really a place for that. But saying that, I think chemtrails and all this type of thing, what comes from the sky or what have recently happened, there are some funny structures inside. They're not necessarily appear on the on the little paper inside the box, right? So, and we see, I mean, if someone looks a little bit of alternative news, we can find that suddenly young people have certain problems. Young men collapse on the sports place who are athletes, and die of a heart attack or something. So we see a lot of these things. And I think, first of all, understanding that there's not only the things what we learned in medical school, but also other possibilities what can be come into the human body and cause symptoms that we have no clue about. When we know about these things, then it starts to make suddenly sense. And also with guidance or whatever we do when we have healing, when we give a healing, we can come to an understanding actually how to address these things too, right? What I'm seeing, for example, talking about these recent developments that occurred worldwide, that it is not only physical substances what are put inside, but also nanobots and also black magic imprints are put in, right?
Right.
And so then the process of doing that is by knowing these things, I can create a change of certain soul contracts. I can replace old ones or what the person experienced at this time and replace them with new ones which resonate with fifth or high dimensional realities, and then address that. Or another thing, what I see, that the connection that people have of the bodies to their oversoul or to the higher dimensions is very much severed. So part of the treatment is also to reconnect the energetic pathways for the person, to reconnect them, right? Whether a person I'm dealing with has already medical issues or they're not even aware of that, and they say, "Oh, I just had it done. Let's do something about that." Right. But
Right.
I see that very clearly when I work with people that when the type of meditation I do with a person, I see already structures within the fields would greatly interfere with the free flow of divine light within the energetic fields. I don't know if you had any experiences yourself, Rachel.
I do. I see lots of implants. I see parasitic things. I see things multiplying in the body, which I can't say on this channel, that I have to clear. I do clear a lot of that. And people aren't usually aware that it's happening either. They just feel the effects. I feel disconnected. I don't feel like myself. If something doesn't feel right, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think also another thing that comes to me is a lot of people, once they get it, they have the first question they ask, not, "Hey, how are you doing?" Ask, "Did you get it too?" So there's, yeah, I mean, it's like something, let's say something that, I don't know. So, if someone goes colonoscopy, you wouldn't say, "Did you have a colonoscopy as well?" So,
That would
but
also be a no for me.
I know. And also, so it's just that people immediately go for that. It's almost like an imprint. That
Psychic implants, I think.
absolutely manipulation, brainwashing, whatever you call that.
Well, and that I
And
think that's what I call them too. They can be just manipulation of repeat, mind stuff.
absolutely, so it is. Yeah, it is an interesting field, but also what I'm seeing. Ultimately, the divine is supporting us in the ascension process. We're not coming here to be punished. And these weird things which are happening, even we can see some of our politicians don't act like smart people. So it is actually forces us to see, if it doesn't work, what do I have to do? I have to claim my power back and use it in the highest and best good if I want to create a reality where we have peace, where we have abundance for everyone, right? Where we
Yeah.
have unpolluted waters, unpolluted air. So these things, in a way, all these, whether from one perspective we can see there may be dark people or people playing the dark thing, they actually help very much with the ascension process, right? By
Yes, because
forcing people to
people
wake
wake
up.
up. Mhm.
And it's I mean, when we don't listen again, I didn't make that up. Someone else did. First the universe whispers to you for guidance. If you don't listen, it speaks louder. Next time it throws a brick, right? So I
Right.
think we were very much at the brick state or beyond, and also a huge boulder. And also it's to really forces us to come on these lines. Maybe not everyone is waking up, but those who wake up start to send out a different energy into the human collective, and therefore facilitate the ascension process for those who still hold on to the illusion of the old. So it's going to be more and more difficult for people not to see that, right?
Right. And this old collective voice, I feel as we become a new collective, that it can be its own voice that we can connect to instead of the old, that's becoming stronger. This new, more people who have woken up or who are on this track to ascension.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And also, as we talked before, as like a reflectionist, how many YouTube channels talk about these things and various modalities towards ascension, right?
Right.
So there's a huge ascension. I mean, especially, if you follow astrology, someone that follows astrology a little bit, there's lots of things happening now.
There
And
is. It's really fascinating. I'm terrible at astrology, but someone was telling me about it and I was just blown away.
yeah, so it's the time we're in the middle of the ascension process, and actually we're not in 3D. Like human collective is in 4D already. The 3D is the old illusion. 4D is part of that. Is that we have this great divide happening,
Right.
right?
You have to
It's like the
choose a side on the 4D.
polarity is getting bigger, so like it's much more chaos, but that helps us, whatever that forces us to make a decision, to become
Yeah.
conscious about our decisions more and more, and also that helps to destroy the old, which is not aligned anymore because the illusion cannot be sustained anymore, right?
Right.
So we're in the middle of the process also astronomically. I think the earth is in the area of a lot of photonic and plasmatic light.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity now to ascend if we want to ascend. And I think there is a possibility as well people to miss that, which is fine as well. There's not a
It's
right or
fine.
wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Some people have made their journey on Earth harder than others. Some people have made a decision that it's going to be really, really hard. They want a really hard challenge and they may or may not succeed. It doesn't matter on the other side.
I think a lot of some of the healers I know, who are blue race, have often very challenging situations, that they incarnated in very abusive families, etc., etc. However, that helps us to become much more powerful healers,
I
if we
think so.
overcome that and
Mhm.
not crumble down. The same if someone still chooses not to undergo the ascension at this time, it's not a failure because they still have 3D experiences in this way in a different universe, probably then, because this one won't exist anymore in 3D. However, they will then share their experience with the divine, and still contribute greatly to the expansion of consciousness, of divine consciousness, by choosing to undergo still 3D incarnations.
Right. I mean, just think of all those past lives we've cleared from ourselves and others that are just horrible. And you think, oh,
I don't know.
so
It wasn't. If you look back,
just
it
another
wasn't
one
a
of those.
failure. It wasn't a failure.
Well, we learned from it, that terrible black magic life where you did all these
Uh,
terrible things to people. Well, now you know what not to do. That ended badly.
oh, that past life where you burned the chocolate cake. These horrific experiences.
So I have a question for you with your background and what you do. What do you think about med beds?
Mad bats. Med
Always.
MAD. So I think there's. I mean, there's the same. Some people say, like what is the most powerful crystal? It's you, right? It's not like whatever Moldavite or anything like this or Herkimer diamond. It's you. You're the most powerful one.
I
Can
love
say the
that.
med beds, they exist already on one way or the other. You can if you contact the Arcturians, for example, or that other beings as well, but the Arcturians are very good at dealing star a group with. Were very good at healing. If you send a person or go yourself into their fields, you probably go to their med beds, right?
Yes, I've seen them in the ethereal, all the time.
Or if you do a healing, maybe your essence becomes the mat bed for people.
Mm.
If you see that also in 5D, it is 3D is everything is external to me. God is outside. What was salvation is outside myself. Medical help is outside myself. I need a mat bed in order to get healed, or I need a syringe or medication. In 5D, it comes back to us. So basically, what I'm seeing, the abilities are there, connecting coherence, or you acting at that. It's within ourselves, the mat bed, right? This
Right.
is my view on that. So the abilities is not there. It's there. It's not like, oh my gosh, we have to wait till Tesla technologies finally be released. It's already there if we want to. That's my view on that.
I love it. It's true. Why do we need to wait if we can bring all this healing forth already?
It may come as well that there are physical things present, and some people say they are already, right? But I think the higher our frequency is, the more we express fifth dimensional and high dimensional energies, then we are less dependent on physical substitutes.
Okay, I like that.
So it's the same as homeopathy, which I love, or animal essences, very powerful. You can buy the drops or the tablets, or you can infuse them energetically, right?
Right.
So I think we can come aware as part of our ascension process from the need to have something physical
Yes.
present, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's also, I think also with the giant epidemic that hit the planet, most people got used to Zoom or any kind of teleconferencing. What you can see is communication in the quantum, the fourth dimensional field already, whereas before, it was the normal thing that you have face-to-face interaction, like 3D interactions. So I think things are moving forward in that realm very much.
And I see in the 5D something very similar to all of this, to, dare I say, Facebook, but not the same frequency, obviously. Things like that, where it's just the telepathy, where it's just very easy and a little bit visual to talk to people, and how we are sort of training for that with all of this.
Yeah. So it's maybe the last time you see us with a headphone, right?
I think it's always fun to think about what it will look like, what it will feel like, how it will be. And of course, I don't think we can actually, bring that forth in our 3D brains.
Well, imagination is the pathway into high dimensions. Very, very important at this time, right?
I think it's really important. Yeah, one of my biggest things is imagination, and how we were so just told that our imagination was nothing, that it was a fake, and how horrible that is, because your imagination is everything. It's not fake. It's many times from your spirit guides telling you things, trying to give you information, or it can be all kinds of things, but it's definitely not fake.
I know. Satan told us.
Oh no.
No, but as we can say, this is actually also that it's part of our limiting belief that helped us to have a 3D experience, by saying imagination is whatever. As an adult, you don't do these things. Children do that, right? Or
Right.
angels, fairies don't exist. It's part of the veil that we created in order to stay here. Ultimately, the nature of one of the many qualities of the divine is being infinite, of expansiveness, right? And by reconnecting and expressing our imagination, we reconnect with that. When we're becoming part of the expansion, we become part of the infinity of the divine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for coming. I want to tell everybody your website again, which is dariusmeibodi.net. It'll be below in the description. And if you'd like to work with Darius, you can contact him by email.
Thank you much. It was a great pleasure having a chat with you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's something to find about the work on my website, but because people come for very different reasons. So a lot of people come with black magic, a lot of people come with medical issues, cancer, HIV, chronic renal failure, so where conventional medicine has a lot of limitations. Or other people come because in their spiritual path already, they just want to speed up their spiritual growth. And in addition to that, some people have a different, the understanding of multidimensionality is different for different people. So what I encourage people is to send me an email if they want to work with me, and we can have a little talk before via Zoom without any obligation, so I can then see what is someone who's interested in my work, what is the understanding and what can I offer. So that can be very much tailor-made, explained as well. I think it's because there's a huge variety of what can be done, it's difficult to put that into a website, so I
Yes.
didn't even
I
try
get
to,
that.
so.
I try to explain things, and I think that's a much better way there. Well, thank you so much. This has been fun, and look forward to following your journey more and all the things you do. It's so fascinating.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure, great honor, Rachel, and I'm excited to follow your journey too.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are a healer or spiritual entrepreneur, present or future, I'd like to invite you to my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions, where I'll be live for more discussion and questions on Thursdays. I'll put the link in the show notes. I'm Rachel Chamness at Sound Waves Heal.